right, Coach. Last week, spring ball.
Yeah, I thought we had a really good finish to today. I thought at first, first part of the practice, I thought we were a little bit flat for a little bit compared to what I wanted it to be, and then we got everybody together, and the last hour of practice was really good. And well, look, when you don't practice every day, you take a couple days off. You scrimmage 115 plays on Saturday. I don't know that it was all that unnatural that way, but we have a higher level performance that we can get to, and they did that the rest of the way. And I thought both sides of the ball, there was some really good things. So spring game Saturday will be at noon. We're going to play the first half like a game. So those will be just true 15-minute quarters, just like what it would be in a game. We're not going to do any live kickoffs. If there's a score, a field goal, touchdown, we'll just put the ball at the 25 like a team kicked it out of the end zone. We'll punt. It'll be punts on air. We won't have, full punt returns. We're just going wherever the ball gets fair caught. That's where the next series will start. But we have a lot of players that need to play a game with people there and need to get calls, get communication, and play football. So this is, there'll be a few guys that'll have a very low pitch count, the Tice Westlands of the world. He's having a great spring, things like that. There'll be some guys that have a very low pitch count. There'll be a lot of guys that need to play a game, and that's what we're going to do. The second half of the game will be determined based off of kind of like our plays, play count, and where we're at halftime. And that could be play a 10-minute quarters in the second half like real, play 12-minute quarters in the second half like real. That could be 15-minute running clocks. That's going to be determined based on kind of where we're at, in that regard. So that's how we're going to work that. But we've had a good spring so far. I thought we just, we needed a little pick-me-up. We got that little pick-me-up today, and that little pick-me-up worked out really well. So with that, I answer any questions.
Got the county partnerships before we came today. How important is it now for Marquis, Boss, Inman, all those guys to step up? And I know you're looking for a DB. We'd be looking for more DBs, and how hard is it in this market to find DBs?
Well, number one, it's really hard to find right now. I mean, there's not a high, look, there's a reason that just happened in that regard. I'll address the specifics of some of those things on Saturday. As of right now, the only thing I'd say is that right now, probably the one that's not a part of it was, if anybody was there watching practice on Saturday, it was the third best corner in there. So that's where we're at. I think we got some capabilities to be good. We have a lot of work to do. We have some development to do, but we're not going to sit here and there's no weeping or gnashing of teeth, as they would say in the Bible on that stuff. So we're okay. We're going to move on.
Looks like Clay Nanke's had a pretty good spring. What have you been seeing out of him since obviously the position change and getting so open on a lot of these routes?
Yeah, I mean, Clay, I think there's a unique talent. I think that Clay had a good day today. I think Clay had a subpar day on Saturday, and I think he bounced back and came back in a good frame of mind. I thought it was his best practice today. Guy's 6'6", and he's 235 pounds playing wide receiver right now. And so he could present some matchup issues and also some really friendly targets in space. And I think that's something that we'll be excited about. And so, yeah, I think his development is important for us. And I think we can utilize the strengths that he has going forward.
Speaking of huge, did this Tyler Hampton guy just fall out of the clear blue, or how did that come about?
I mean, he was here last fall. I think he's had a nice spring. He's done some good things. That's a loaded room right now. That's the hard part about that. And I mean, like Schoenfeld had a really good play on Saturday. We've got two really talented freshmen coming in. There's, Sabota and Jake Wilson and Gillenborg. So Tyler's, stayed in there, fought in there. He's getting a lot of plays right now, and so it's a good thing. And so, hopefully he continues to push and develop and get better. I thought today was one of his better days. I really did. I thought Saturday he was okay. I thought today he was good. I thought he had a better, performance. I thought he played good today. He made some, look, the interception he had, that was pretty, that was a pretty good play. When you can catch an RPO that tight to the line of scrimmage and just take it down and score, I mean, that was a pretty good play. Evans coming along nicely, from through the course of the spring, the learning, all those things that way. So he's come along pretty well. So I think there's a lot of, I still think there's growth in him, which is exciting in the fact he runs well, and he's got a very, very high level of care. And so I think we can expect good things from him.
What are your early thoughts, Jay, in the film room and all that kind of stuff on Gary Harrell? Have you noticed his impact already?
Yeah, I think footwork. I think just, our footwork on some of our plays. I think some of the accountability to it all. I mean, look, I think it's been very positive so far. Players really embrace, what he's telling them. I think you get that feel, and they're excited to play for him, and I think that's been a positive so far. And I'm really happy staff-wise right now. I think where we're at has been, you can tell in the defensive tackle room that that's been Deontay Gibson's been great. I think Coach Bonite has been great with the receiver group. I think Gary in what he's bringing right now, running back wise, and Gary's going to be a lot better and a lot more comfortable once he gets the spring or once he gets the summer to reset and fall camp to start it all off, right? So that's part of it too.
So obviously Kirkwood's departure wasn't ideal, but is it nice to get a fresh set of eyes in the room?
Yeah. And look, that's why, look, we could all, just like in the sense of like transfer portal world, right? Like in that, coaches created this. So there's no coaches that sit there and can bitch about this. Coaches created this. And we had a guy leave the first day of spring practice. Right? So, what's a coach going to complain about a player when you know what I mean? So, look, we'll be fine. I've got supreme confidence in a couple of the players that we've got out there right now. That's been the goal, I think, from the receiving crew with where we're at and where we can get to. We still have, another piece to add or two offensively that we want to. The tight end group that we have, where we're at quarterback right now. And I think where we can be in the offensive line, given some a little bit more development. And then up the middle defensively was the biggest change. We're going to be much better between the tackles, at linebacker, bigger and more physical, and our safety net is a lot bigger and more physical and has a lot more burst. That was the design of okay, this is how we're going to improve. And that, all that's including coaching, but the head coach is responsible first and foremost for building a roster. And that's what we've set to that. And so, like I said, we'll be fine, right?
We talked about Jake Wilson a lot.
Is that Jake runs very well. His I think John Mike is probably our fastest top end speed tight end. I'm not certain in the first 10 yards or so that Jake's probably the fastest of that. You know, I could say that and John might get mad at me. In that regard, Jake Wilson's got really good quickness. He's 244 pounds. And he's a very physical player. I mean, he will run through your face, and I appreciate that part of it. And so I think that, you know, we have a right and a reason to expect good things from him this year.
I noticed Lappy was one of many offers that Justin Taylor got out of high school. Was it that relationship that he came back to come back here, and what did you like about him?
Well, there was a big piece of that because, you know, Coach Boyd was recruiting him quite a bit and spent, you know, time talking to him that way. And then, you know, look, we've also, I mean, over recent time, we've done fairly well in Chicago. You know, I mean, there's, that's been you know, we have a name there, right? Because we've had guys come here and be successful all the way back to Valladay and guys like that. You know, there's been people that have come in, you know, that's in my time range. Now, I could say that, and I'm probably offending somebody that was here 5 years before me. I wasn't here then, but like we've got a name around there, and Coach Boyd had recruited Justin, and so you know, that was a natural transition when he was leaving. I think he reached out to Coach Boyd pretty quickly, and so that was something that's like, hey, you remember Justin Taylor? And I did remember him, and we did go through a process with him, and so I'm glad he's here. I think there's still a lot of things he can improve on, but you know, he's very happy to be here, and he's very engaged daily at practice.
At what point in the year do you start looking at who you play next year? Like in today's landscape of everything, I mean, do you wait till the summer, or are you starting to do that now?
There's been some of it where, you know, like for me, I've done game plan work on a couple of the opponents. The defensive staff has went through, you know, a couple of the opponents. And then what we will do, and the offensive staff same way, but then what we will do is, you know, the next phase we transition into is a lot of our coaches will be on the road spring recruiting. We get done with that, and then the next phase we transition to is, you know, there's about 9 days in the month of June that we are off campus here at camps, evaluating players, whether it's in Texas, California, Illinois, things like that. When we are not on the road in the month of June, we'll turn into game plans for the first three opponents. And, you know, defensively, like, you know, we do a couple of those, and then also Air Force, you know, that's something that we continue to look at. You know, and offensively, we work on these first few games and do that. But that's how that transition is. So, you know, we've taken a look at teams. It gets a lot more in depth when we get to early June.
Would you say, like, is the starting running back job kind of open right now? Obviously, with Sam not being here in the spring, and then
that's the depth chart, right? Like it was for the defense when I told you that before the spring. It's blank whiteboard. It's wide open. That nothing will get decided on that. And look, starting running back, look, it's going to be, there's going to be multiple guys play anyway. I mean, you really don't have, you know, very rare do you have one guy that you give it 35 times to. That was Ashton Genty at Boise. You know, you typically are going to need, in the ideal thing, you're going to need somebody to carry it 20 times and somebody to carry it 12, and probably somebody else that can get you a couple carries in there some way, shape, or form. And if you think, and you're naive enough to think that the one guy that's getting it 20 lasts all 12 games that way, then you better have depth. And we're going to have depth at running back. That was one of the things that, you know, that we've committed ourselves to, was to have extra running backs that we carry. And, you know, so that's that search and the guys that we have, and with Sam coming back off of his, you know, his knee and everything and all that we feel like that we'll have depth there. And we've got 3 freshmen coming in. One of them just ran a 10.5 over the weekend. You know, I think we'll be a, you know, hopefully, I want that room to look like the tight end room right now. I look at the tight end room, I'm like, that's a good room. I want the running back room to look that way too. And I want all the rooms to look that way, but we got work to do. So that's part of it. Yeah, so Wes got a concussion, I don't know, 10 days ago, somewhere in that range. Wes is in the protocol. The plan would be he would practice on Thursday. And then he should be able to do stuff on Saturday as well. Wes will be fine, but that's all it was. I mean, you know, you don't minimize it as that's what it was. But he's going through the protocol. I don't know what day that this one is in that. But he will be practicing Thursday, and then he'll be able to do stuff on Saturday.
And then saw that Ian Bell dressed today. Is he going to be at the scrimmage?
We'll see. I mean, you know, when you're dealing with that, the one thing I don't want to have is a setback. You know, I mean, he had a hamstring, and he's getting closer to where he's full speed run. You know, look, that Ian Bell's a solid player, but what set him back a year ago was he injured his foot right around this time of year. And he couldn't ground run until the 1st of August. So, look, and I talk to Eric Donoval all the time, and he'll tell you that a guy needs to touch 85% of his top speed once a week to maintain speed. Well, when a guy can't ground run for 3 months, guess what happens? You know, you come back and you don't look that good. You don't run that good. Ian Bell was compromised for a big chunk of the year last year. And so, you know, I don't want to have a setback with anything that way, you know, and that type of thing there.
Do you have any injury reports from this spring that are going to carry over to the year, or any that like bother you?
No, I mean, like right now, I'll go through the injury list. You know, Haswell had surgery. His surgery went well. His surgery went actually better than what we anticipated. I was originally told that he would be back in October. My understanding is he'll probably be back sometime in August. It was probably about a month and a half ahead of time frame. Jordan Turnbull had an Achilles surgery. That's a 6-month-ish type of deal. So you'd be looking at sometime in October when he would be, you know, potentially available there. Evan Svoboda had the pin in his hand. Those will come out in about another 10 days, 2 weeks. He will be fine. He'll be full go summer workouts when we come back to those in the latter part of May. Jaden Williams had a foot surgery in early February. He will start ground running real soon. He will be full go clear when we're back summer workouts in May. Right now, beyond that, Isaiah Bogar had a dislocated wrist. That was set. He'll get out of all the contraption that he's in right now. Here in another week or two, he'll be full go for summer workouts, which we start May 26th. Geiger will be full clear by May. You know, coming off ACL, what you don't want is a guy that's in a pile, right? You know, and so Geiger is running, Geiger is squatting, he's cleaning, like all those things. That way, he is fine. Brent Rice should be clear, full go summer workouts. His was a pec. Eric Richardson will be clear, full go summer workouts. So we're on pace. We don't have a long-term last into the fall deal. Right now, as it would be, we would have an entire team that would be healthy to start summer workouts right now. And the things that we're dealing with right now are not things that would linger. So from that standpoint, there's a lot of reason to be optimistic in that. Hopefully the rest of the week we carry forward that way and do that. It's like I said, Saturday is an important deal for us. I hope there's 20,000 people at the spring game. That'd be tremendous. But because we need to play in front of people. Like, look, Jaden DeCosta needs to get a call and get communication. There's people like we need to feel it like a game day. And there's a lot of things that need to happen. Jalen Bean needs that. The young offensive linemen need that. Landon Sims needs that all the way through. Mason Drube needs it. So we have a whole football team that needs like a final exam in front of people, and that's what we're excited about. And it's supposed to be 68 degrees. That's what I saw today. And on my little Weather Channel app, it said the nicest day in the next 7 days is Saturday. So we'll be ready to go for that. So go Pokes, and we'll roll from there.